Why is it that you go to training or you send your teammates to a workshop or class and then you come back and 3 months later, nothing has changed? You're going to learn in this video today why it is that we don't have an effective training execution strategy, and it's keeping our learning from going into action and behavior change. You're going to learn two big lies about training and one truth you've probably never learned before that will help unlock productivity for you and your teammates. Hey, come along. We're going to have a great time today. My name is Josh Freeberg, and I work with insurance and real estate agents and their teams, helping them to be more productive in their work. This allows agents and teammates to be more present when they go home and to be more proactive in their community. If you're interested in a conversation about how our coaching could help you or your team, give me a call, shoot me a text. Head on over to my website, theabundantagent.com/coaching, and sign up for a complimentary coaching call so I can find out a little bit more about your business and how we might be able to help you. Hey, I just had an amazing experience this last weekend, and it's really influenced some of my thinking about the training that I do for agents and their team members. And it's related to this idea that we have around learning, how training happens, and how we think about knowledge and how it impacts us. But let me tell you about this experience I had. I was part of a 3-day archery elk hunting immersion experience where we learned all about the science of arrow flight and how to apply for elk tags and how to shoot arrows. And one of the most influential instructors that was there was a guy named Joel Turner. Now, some people will put Joel in the category of archery instructor, and that's a mistake. What Joel is he is the only expert in a shot execution strategy, in really coming to that moment of concentrating to make sure that an archery shot happens with control every single time. And one of the key things that he taught us, I'm going to reference back here in a little bit. But let's talk about you and your team. I probably know a little bit about your insurance or real estate team already. Great people, they're working hard, but maybe the productivity isn't quite where you'd like it to be. And so you hear about this fancy whiz-bang, workshop that's coming up. You send all your teammates there. Maybe you even attend. You sit in the front row with your notebook and you learn great stuff. You come back with 10 pages of notes. You're super excited. And then day one, you get back into your 437 unread emails. Pretty soon you're sliding into back old patterns. You got a bunch of clients you got to deal with who are upset because you were gone for 3 days. And a couple weeks later, a couple months later, nothing has changed. And it's because we have two big lies about training, education, learning. And I want to share these with you right now and then share with you one key truth that's going to help you close the loop on your education and training so that you begin to see action and results from the training that you and your team members partake in. Well, let's start off with the first big lie of training and education. And the first big lie is this. It's the idea that we learn by listening and watching, right? We learn by listening and watching. Well, who told us this lie? I bet it was a stressed out 3rd grade teacher with 40 kids in her class that just wanted everybody to sit down and shut up, right? And so we have this idea that if we listen or we watch something, that we will learn how to do it. Now, here's the truth of this, is that listening and watching is a pretty good way to convey information, right? Listening and watching is a pretty good way to convey information. It gets information out of my brain and into your brain. Maybe right now, this is the kind of learning that we're doing. But here's the deal. This kind of learning is really more about trivia. You see, information not applied, well, that might do well if you're going to play Jeopardy or Trivial Pursuit, but it doesn't get you to a change in your life. It doesn't get you to a change of productivity in your business. So this is a good place to start. And this, by the way, is where you always have to start. If you're going to do something new, you need new information. But let me give you an example of where this falls flat. It's probably one that you know already. I'm going to talk about both physical and fiscal fitness. This weekend I got to learn some great stuff about physical fitness from a guy named Dan Staten. I got to learn amazing stuff about physical fitness from my new friend Jeff Bynum. But they didn't teach us anything that most people don't already know, right? Physical fitness, sleep right, eat right, exercise. Ta-da, you're physically fit, right? Now you know that. Well, guess what? Almost everybody that you know and that I know knows that information, right? What do we need to do to be fiscally fit? We need to spend less than we make. We need to invest some of what we save, right? Not too hard to know that information, very hard to live it out. Okay, so listening and watching only takes us to a place of information, and if we aren't careful, we risk this just being trivia. Where information has to go next is it has to go into action. But this leads us to the next lie. And the next lie, guys, it is insidious. The lie is this. The lie is you learn by doing. You learn by doing. It's not true. It's just not true, right? I always joke that the golf courses of America are proof that doing something a lot does not make you good at it. At this archery camp, there were literally probably hundreds of thousands of pulled back and loosed arrows represented in the group of 35 people that were there. I mean, over the past decades, those people that were there have shot thousands upon thousands of arrows. And every one of them will tell you that their shooting took a quantum leap this last weekend. Why? Because they shot the one magic arrow where it finally came to pass? No, they learned a new process that's changing what they do, right? And just like our golfer friends, just doing something a lot doesn't make you good. It's when you go to a lesson and they say, hey, did you know that your grip isn't right? Have you considered your backswing? Have you considered your follow through? And that'll bring us to our next step. Just doing something a lot doesn't make us good at it. What happens though for a lot of us, and this is one of the big epiphanies I had with when Joel Turner from Shot IQ was teaching us, is he said most of us live in what's called an open loop. And in archery it has a specific application, but let's apply what an open loop looks like for most of the agents that I meet. They go to a class, they learn something, they come back, they take a tiny bit of action on it, right? They get into action, and by the way, this is why a lot of you are successful, because you're the type of people who learn something new and you go take quick action on it. But there's not a deliberate execution strategy, and so what happens is this ends up in a, I learn something, I do something, I learn something, I do something, I learn something, I do something. And some of them work and some of them don't, but we don't ever know why. We don't ever know why that one worked and why that one didn't, right? And this is what I learned about archery. Archers don't know why they hit the bullseye and why they didn't. Business people don't know why did that strategy work or why didn't it? Because they've believed in the lie that you learn by doing. Let me show you the one truth that will bring this all together. And it is simply this, that we learn, and I learned this from a guy named John Berghoff at the exchange process. And in the exchange process, we work with groups to create interaction patterns that create greater sense of connection and community. And what it does is it allows the wisdom and knowledge of a room to come out. And it's through one process. It's so wonderful when it works. And it is this: we learn by reflecting on an experience. Reflect on an experience. And this is what gets missed. This is what gets missed. Because when we reflect on an experience, right, we now have new information. And this creates what my friend Joel Turner at Shot IQ taught me is what's called a closed loop process. And when we close the loop, Now it puts us into an execution strategy, and can even add this, an execution cycle. So now you go to that whiz bang workshop and it's like, hey, we've got this great idea. Let's put one piece of it into action this week. And then next Tuesday, let's get together, reflect what worked, what didn't work. How could we do this better? Excellent. That gives us new information. Let's put that into action. And then the Tuesday after that, we're going to reflect on the experience. We're going to figure out what worked, what didn't work, what could be improved. And that's going to give us new information that creates new action. If you have had your insurance team, your real estate team, you do stuff, you go to classes, you learn something, you watch a YouTube video, you participate in a training, and it seems like it's just not making a difference, it could be that you're running an open loop process where you learn something, you do something, you learn something, you do something, you learn something, you do something, but we don't really do it with intention. And the way that we do it with intention is by reflecting on our experience. We don't learn by listening and watching. We don't learn by doing. We learn by listening, watching, doing something, and then reflecting on the experience, allowing that new information to give us new learning that allows us to take new action, which now gives us a new experience to reflect on. This is how we can help you and your team be more productive. Again, if you're interested in a conversation about how we can apply these principles to your team or maybe to your life, maybe you're super productive and saying, Josh, I need help getting my life back. Give me a call, go to my website, sign up for one of those complimentary coaching calls. I'd love to help you out. And for this week, go do this for me. Take action. And then reflect on the experience. Allow that new information to guide your next action. We will see you next time.